Hello everyone, Manthroll here with another Suggestion Saturday video. This one is going to be, well, if you guys know about it, it's a little bit about one of Jagex' side projects called Funorb. Now, if you're familiar with Funorb, there we go. I gotta turn that down a little bit. I cannot. Okay. Meant to go for audio. There we go. Yeah, as I was going to say now, with Funorb, I don't know if, like, you guys will necessarily, watching will know what Funorb is, but it was kind of, a Jagex side project about essentially a bunch of different types of mini games. Now, sadly, none of these mini games never really made it into RuneScape itself, which is a huge swing and a miss by Jagex. And I say this because Funorb has a lot of good games to it, which could be very useful in RuneScape itself. For one, being Arcanist. That could be a fun game they could have in here. And there could be different mage perks for doing it. And all these mini games, they are actually really good. They're really fun. And it's actually where, if you guys seen one of the mini game that I had suggested before about make it so you can hire mercenaries and different things like that, and you can battle against other people. That's kind of what Armies of Gielinor is. But the problem is, Funorb is not really well known, and they don't really advertise it anymore because it's kind of a dead thing for them. I mean, it's still running. Don't get me wrong; the games are still fun, but it's not nearly as big as it used to be, and it's actually rapidly losing people playing it. Big part doing is because a lot of things are dropped in Java, and Funorb still runs on Java. That's being a big thing right there. So my suggestion would be for Jagex is to take the games that are the biggest from Funorb and merge them into Gielinor RuneScape itself. Because if you merge the top ones, like Dungeon Assault was amazing. You had loot that was building normally, but you could gather more loot by raiding other people. And you could also spend this loot to make your dungeon harder and more advanced. So it was very good because you wanted to keep spending your loot, but yet again you didn't want to spend your loot because that's how you made money in that, game. So it was kind of a hit and miss. And also you only had a finite amount of room you could make your dungeon. It was like RuneScape meets Dungeons and Dragons, the board game kind of stuff. And it was extremely good. And it's kind of how like dungeoneering could be. But instead it's kind of I mean, I guess yes, it is kind of how dungeoneering is. It's just dungeoneering to me could be better. Sorry, but it could be. I like the skill, but it could be better. But a lot of these mini games, Arcanist, it would be a fun magic mini game. You could take the Armies of Gielinor and replace the Mobilizing Armies minigame in RuneScape. I mean, yes, these rewriting the code so it would be... Actually, you wouldn't really need to rewrite the code too much. You would just have to take that code for the game and bring it into this game. Because it was still a top-down kind of thing. Sorry if it lags. It's been very laggy. There's been a lot of storms lately, so my connection has not been the most stable of connections. But that's what this week's suggestion is to just take the Funorb series and merge it into RuneScape itself. Merge it in with Galanor. And not all the Funorb minigames, because there's actually a lot of Funorb minigames. Well, games. And to actually merge them all, that would be a huge undertaking, because there's so many of them. But for it to just be, you know, a few mini games, maybe here and there, maybe player voted upon ones, that would be good. Like, maybe they can go through the entire list one by one and be like, hey, should this game from Funorb be incorporated into RuneScape? And here's a rough idea of what it is. They could explain it. They could have maybe a YouTube video showing it, what it is, what it's about. I can guarantee you a lot of them will fail. A lot of them will pass. But it mostly comes down to, you know, what type of rewards there are, what type of XP there is, everything like that. That's the biggest thing. And sorry, but it looks like I'm going to get disconnected here. So, unfortunately, you don't get to see RuneScape in the background while I'm talking about RuneScape updates. But that's what it would be about. And it would be about those core changes like that. I mean, it wouldn't be huge changes, but it would be huge in a way where it could redefine how they do minigames. Because the Funorb games are more of a game in themselves, which is what the minigames within RuneScape are missing. I mean, they're fun, yes, but they shouldn't be... I think the biggest problem, too, with the minigames in RuneScape is that they're so... With the completionist, you have to do certain things. And I think that's what kills a good chunk of the minigames for it, is that you have to do it. If you didn't have to do it, people would probably actually play it on their own just for fun, because they aren't that bad. But when they're being forced to play them, that's a different story. So, that's my whole spiel about, you know, another little thing about mini games. Ooh, I need those. Alright, defense armor. Or for melee, I needed that. But yeah, so there's... That's one thing, and then there's also just the factor of, you know, trying to revitalize some Funorb stuff, and just, if there's a lot of people playing Funorb, if it's worth it for them to keep it going, that's fantastic. But if it's at the point where they have to question whether it's worth keeping running or not, instead of just completely wiping it clean of the whole entire project, just bring some of it over into, you know, RuneScape itself. I mean, there's so many of them that are actually really good, that could really mix up RuneScape itself. Even if they take it and they put it in the games room itself, and you could actually just access these games in there, and you could play it that way. And maybe you could win tokens for different things. You could win Arcanist tokens, and as you're getting these Arcanist tokens, you can claim XP, you can claim runes, you know, stuff affiliated with the skill. And maybe for the mining, there's a mining one where you go through and you find different gems. And of course, the more you mine down, the better the gems you can find, etc., etc. Well, maybe in those cases, you can, you know, save up those tokens, you can buy gems. But it can't be such an ungodly amount of tokens that it becomes a waste of people's time. And that is probably Jagex' biggest mistake when it comes to minigames, is everything takes so incredibly long in a minigame compared to actually just going out and skilling. Where in a minigame, you're getting pretty much just XP, and at a reduced rate than what you would be getting if you go outside of it. So if they bring in the Funorb, you want to make sure it's balanced. If it's not balanced, it's going to be dead content again, quick. So that's what they need to keep in mind. You know, bring it over, merge RuneScape, merge Funorb into one, make it a complete thing. And then people could be playing RuneScape and be like, you know what, I want to go play Arcanist, and they can go to the Birthright Games room and actually have a reason to go there, instead of it just being a wasted space like it is right now. It's pretty much, it's wasted. So that is my suggestion for this week, and thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, later guys.